is the best medicine, where every week we come on and we share with you some real practical insights and tips and resources for the body, for the mind, and for the soul. So this week we are talking about food for the body, and we are introducing gazpacho. So some of you are very familiar with gazpacho, but many people have not. I shared this recipe with my clients this week, and many of them were not really that familiar with gazpacho. So what is gazpacho? To me, gazpacho is a perfect food for the energy of this time of the year. We are now transitioning into fall. It's right ahead of us. And this is like Indian summertime. It's also known as the harvest time, where we're reaping the benefits of some of the relaxation and fun and joy that we had over the summer. And we're preparing our bodies to go into the rest mode of the winter. So the fall is kind of a time where we are in transition and where we are letting go of things that no longer serve us so that we can go into the winter to start to hibernate and to start to let nurture the things that are going to bloom in the spring. So for us, it could be a way of being. It could be things that we want to do, things that we want to share with other people. So the fall is really the time where we start with that transition by letting go of things that no longer serve us from all of these prior years. We've just got done with the Jewish holidays, and that's a time for atonement, for letting go, and then fasting, for releasing. And it actually is a great start of this fall season, even if you're not Jewish. And so the gazpacho soup is kind of a soup that when it's a fall gazpacho, it helps our body to start with this letting go, this detoxification process. And so today's session is actually going to be the beginning of some work that I provide via Facebook over the next weeks and months on letting go and helping us transition to be ready to nest in the winter so that we can become who we want to be and what we want to do by the springtime. So this is the beginning. So gazpacho, generally, it is an uncooked soup, which is another reason that it's perfect for this summer harvest, Indian summer time of year, because we're not really ready for these hot, spicy, rich soups. And we don't really want the cold green soups of the summertime. We want something in between. So today's gazpacho is an in-between gazpacho. It has fruits and vegetables from the summer harvest. So we have tomatoes in there. We have garlic. We have onions. We have beans in this particular gazpacho. So the tomatoes are really the core ingredient in it. And tomatoes are ripe right now. We have many tomatoes out. And so it's a perfect food to make from it. Also, on my show, I am always highlighting quick, simple, nutritious, and delicious recipes. Many of them can be used as a breakfast and a snack item. And today's gazpacho fits right in this. This is something you're going to make. We're going to make it right in the blender. And it's going to be made in about 5 minutes. Takes about 5 minutes to prep and about 5 minutes to put in the blender. And you have something that's quick, simple, nutritious, and delicious, the key. It is also something that can be used for breakfast and snacks. Those are the foods that people ask me about the most because we get bored with traditional breakfast and all the convenience processed food snacks out there. So gazpacho is a great one. Yes, you can have soups for breakfast. Soups make a wonderful breakfast, whether they're warm soups or cold soups. They make a wonderful breakfast. And then for a snack, yes, when you want something, you have a taste for something, you want it to have a little bit of a zing of taste, of spice to it, but not too spicy. A gazpacho is an excellent, excellent choice for that. So let's see, how do we make this simple little gazpacho? So we're going to add in, we have grilled the tomatoes and onions and the beans. I put them in the oven for a little bit beforehand, and I have some raw here. So we're going to add all of this to the blender. And remember, if you'd like the recipe, you can go over to my private Facebook group, the Real Food, Real Joy, Real Healing Facebook group. And you can get a copy of this recipe and all other recipes that I create. And so we are adding this all into the blender. We're going to make this a very simple soup to make. Whoops, let me get my blender. Okay. And you can add ingredients to this. You can add yogurt, you can add avocado, especially at the end as just a little enhancer to it. You can add your herbs. So I always love including herbs. So a little parsley, a little oregano, a little thyme in this would be a great soup. But in general, we have tomatoes, right? High in vitamin C. We have onions, a great booster for the immune system. We have corn in here, great source of fiber along with the tomatoes and the onions. We have white navy beans, great source of fiber. So fiber and lignans in them. So great for detoxification of the body. And then we're adding a little garlic, a little bit of apple cider vinegar and olive oil. So it's almost like a salad in a sense, but just a blended salad. A little water and a little salt and pepper, and that's all we need to add to this. So I'm going to add my apple cider vinegar and my olive oil and a little water. Whenever you're adding something to the blender, you need to have some liquid added to it. If you are using a food processor, you do not need to have the liquid added to it. But when it is a blender, you do need the liquid for it to blend. And now I'm going to put it on here and begin. And you can see that I blended this for about 30 seconds, but you could blend it longer or shorter depending on how chunky you like your gazpacho to be. It's a beautiful fall color, beautiful fall orange color. And ooh, this looks absolutely delicious. I'm going to give you a little close-up of it. But it looks absolutely delicious. Hope you can see it there. I didn't want to spill it. And let me taste it. Oh, this is perfect. It almost tastes like it has cream in it, almost like a creamy tomato. It's a little spicy. A creamy tomato soup would taste. And the spice from this is just coming from the onions and the garlic that's in it. So I haven't added any particular seasonings to this. I actually did not even add salt today because it's a great recipe for people who need to reduce their sodium. There's so much flavor in it already. You get the natural sodium that's coming from the food. So it's a great recipe for if you have hypertension, if you have prediabetes, you're trying to watch your blood sugar, if you have excess weight and cholesterol that you're trying to release from your body. This is a great recipe which will help the liver start to detoxify and help your digestive system move the waste and the toxins out of the body in a gentle manner, so that you have a smooth, easy detox just from this one particular soup. So we're going to take some questions, and I'll bring on my producer, Miss Michelle Murray, to host some questions. And then, yes, and then I'll invite you to the private Facebook group again at the end for all of this week and next week, because I'm going to be sharing more for you, including a detox that you can do, not just for your body, but also for your home. So I look forward to seeing you there. But right now, questions. Hello, Ms. Michelle.
Hello, Ms. Zana. And that soup, I might try it for dinner tonight, because
Ooh.
I don't know what I'm having for dinner yet, and that's, I'm so bored with chicken that I think I have all the ingredients. So, but there are a few questions. One is this, and this is one I'm wondering about too. Is it okay to have this soup if you're watching your carbs?
Yes. So this does have carbohydrates in it. In fact, it has about 50 grams of carbs. So for most of us, for our diet, 50 grams of carbs in a meal is not anything, especially since these are complex carbohydrates. So they will not spike your blood sugar up and cause that glucose insulin reaction, which then can get stored as excess calories, excess weight. So for people watching carbs, that reaction is what you're mostly interested in, not just the word carbohydrates, because we need carbohydrates. It also has a good amount of fiber. So it has 15 grams of fiber in it. So your net carbs are going to be lower. If, however, you were doing a pure ketogenic diet at the highest numbers, you probably would not have this particular soup. But most of my clients do a modified ketogenic diet. And yes, you can have this soup and you can still get the weight loss benefits. So
that makes me happy. Pat said, so the recipe is full of protein. I would think it would have some protein because of the beans.
The beans will give it the protein. And this actually has 13 grams of protein in a serving. So that's like 2 boiled eggs right there. Oh. Almost as much as if you have a 3 to 4 ounce piece of animal protein. It's almost the equivalent just from the soup. And you have so much more benefits to this.
Yes, because you have the protein and the fiber. So that's wonderful. Very well-rounded recipe. Can you use garbanzo beans instead of white beans, or like whatever kind of bean you might have in the house if you don't have white beans?
Yes. The reason we're using white is that you get the lighter color. So garbanzo beans will work for that as well. It will probably be a little chunkier. I also use the small navy beans today, but I've made this with the cannellini beans and the larger size navy beans, and it all works. So it's more for the color, and then it'll break down a little bit more when you use kind of the navy beans. But great question there.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it looks wonderful. It really does. And it looks like it could be a good, like it could be like a dinner, right? It could be.
Yeah. So breakfast, lunch, snack, or dinner. And I also want to add, this is a great recipe for if you have frozen ingredients or fresh ingredients or even canned ingredients you can make this with. So sometimes if you're using what you have in your house so that you're not wasting ingredients, you might have to combine something from the freezer, something from the cupboard, and maybe you have some fresh tomatoes on your tomato brine, or people have given them to you because you have so many. So it's perfectly fine to use any form of the ingredient, and you can still make it very tasty.
And one thing I was wondering is, because I haven't seen the recipe yet, in detail. Did you say you roasted the vegetables first, or you could stir fry them, or either way?
So I had some that were roasted and some that were just raw. So you can roast all the vegetables. That's going to give it a little sweeter taste my taste is kind of more savory because I did have more raw than roasted. But when you roast vegetables, it actually brings out the natural sweetener, right? So
Oh, I
I invite everybody to try it with roasted tomatoes and the onions and corn, and then try it with like raw, and then see what you think. Okay.
yeah, a lot of variety. Pat says she was thinking of doing a mix of beans from the ones she's harvesting.
Oh, see, yes. And if you have a garden, definitely use the ingredients from the garden because they are going to be the most nutrient rich. And Pat is just a wonderful teacher and advocate of how we can garden for our health. So feel free to go to her website, Grow Health for You, her Facebook
Yeah.
page, and learn about how you can grow these ingredients, and then come to my page and I'll teach you how to cook them and also use them for your health and more fun, joy.
Yes. Sounds wonderful. A wonderful, like you said, transitional recipe.
Yes, it is. It is. So let's see. Are there any more questions there? Are we complete for today's show?
I think we're complete for today's show. If any others come in, though, like you said, you'll answer them because sometimes they come in afterwards too.
Yep. And so I always welcome questions, comments, sharing, feedback. If there are other topics that you'd like to see covered, please feel free to post them in the comments section. I go back through them and I will respond, or Michelle will go back and respond to things. So we're always looking to keep you happy as well as healthy. Happy and healthy, I
Oh,
say.
wait, there's another question.
We have a question.
Some
Okay.
people do not eat beans because of gas. Any tricks with this?
So the apple cider vinegar will actually help you with the gas. So apple cider vinegar is a digestive aid. It helps to compensate for maybe low stomach acid, which could be part of the reason that you are getting gas from the beans, right? You could also pre-cook your beans and put a little combo in there. And combo is a seaweed product that helps break down the gas producing components of beans. So you can pre-cook your beans with that and then use them in the recipe.
What is that called again?
Kombu, it's Khombu. It's a type of seaweed. You'll find it in the seaweed section of your supermarket. And you just need like a 1-inch piece in a pot of beans, and it helps to break down that component. Okay. So, but in this recipe, because we have the apple cider vinegar, I've never had any problems with gas from the beans. But excellent question. Wow.
Right, wow. Wonderful recipe. Good questions. Can't wait to try it.
So thank you everyone for joining me for this week's show. And remember to hop on over to the private Facebook group for the recipe and more great information. You can also hop onto my website, www.zonaclark.com, for a free gift of recipes. I'm always changing those out. So feel free to go back there periodically and claim your free gift. And stay tuned for more information this week, not this week probably, but next week, since we're at the end of this week. But stay tuned for next week, more information on a fall detox that you can all join me in. Yay. So take care. I will see you on next week's show of Food is the Best Medicine, Soul, Body, and Mind. And next week, we'll be going back to food for the soul and the mind. So things that you can let go of.
All right.
So very good. Have a great week.